So here we go, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Boot Room, the show where we look ahead to Town's next game, which, of course, is the final game of 2022. Of course, the Blues making a trip to Fratton Park as they take on Pompey. I'm joined today by good old Stuart Watson. Stu, always a pleasure. We're talking off the back of Town's 3-0 win on Boxing Day. Hope you had a good Christmas. How's things?
Very nice, thank you, Ross. Wasn't at the game on Boxing Day, had some family commitments over Christmas. But yeah, back ready to go again at Portsmouth on whatever night it is, whatever day of the week it is. I lose track this time of year. Tomorrow, anyway. It's tomorrow we're going down to the south coast, Fratton Park. And this is always a bit of a tasty fixture when Ipswich and Portsmouth come together. A few subplots galore. Bit of a rivalry growing between these two. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive atmosphere down at Fratton Park. Of course, last time we were there, last season, we won 4-0. Not a bad evening down there. Of course, this season we played them twice. Of course, beating them at Portman Road at the start of October, a 3-2 win there. And then, of course, they knocked us out on the Pizza Trophy, but it is what it is. But Stu, Portsmouth are a strange team in this division because in League One, they're 11th at the moment. They've got games in hand. They're losing games, but they're drawing games. They've won games. On paper, what's your thoughts on them?
Well, they've only won one of their last 12 in the league to drop down to 11th in the table. A few games in hand, but yeah, that's not good, is it? One win in 12 sort of coincides that run around the time that Ipswich beat them 3-2 at Portman Road. Still in the Papa John's, still in the FA Cup, but they'll be concerned that another League One season is slipping by for them. Danny Cowley, who's become a bit of a pantomime villain for Ipswich fans, sounds like he's feeling a bit of heat, coming under a bit of pressure down there. Talking about them being in a storm at the moment and needing to come through it. So hopefully this is a good time for Ipswich to go down to Portsmouth and face them. You never know what sort of reaction you get. You always worry when you face a team like that it will turn at some point. And it always used to feel like Ipswich were the team that teams turned it around against. But maybe that's another stat that McKenna it can sort of eradicate for Ipswich at the moment. That was a really impressive win against Oxford on Boxing Day. Nipped the Wickham defeat in the bud quite quickly, which is something Ipswich have done really well with defeats this season. So, yeah, just really looking forward to it as an occasion. I think 1,600 Ipswich fans down there at Fratton Park, which is a place I always enjoy going to watch football, a good old-fashioned football ground that with a set of fans that always make it a good amount of noise. So, yeah, should be a good one, this.
It should do. It's going to be a cracker to end the year. Stu, before we get into the team, how would you sort of sum up 2022 and hopefully Town can end the year on a high with a win?
Well, yeah, it's been a fantastic year for Ipswich, hasn't it? Really, McKenna appointed at the back end of 2021, made an instant impact, winning his first game, going to Gillingham and winning 4-0, and everyone immediately seeing that this is a guy that can improve the team and individuals, and that has continued throughout the season. A few bumps in the road along the way, but in general, it's been slow, steady, consistent progress to the point where we find ourselves second in the table, possibly even top, hopefully going into 2023, depending on how results go elsewhere tomorrow night. So a really good year. I think there's a massive feel-good factor around the club at the moment. Let's hope it finishes on a high down at Portsmouth.
Definitely, mate. Well, let's talk about the team then. We had a few surprises on Boxing Day. Marcus Harness starting from the off. Luke Wolford, Janoy Donation were back. Lee Evans started. But of course, this time of year, it's quick turnarounds, games here, then everywhere. What's your thoughts on the team? McKenna's come out and said there's a few illnesses in the camp. There's a lot of illnesses in the Pompey camp. Of course, once again, this time of year, everyone gets colds and there's always little bits of bugs about. You're all good though, Stu. You're feeling all right? You feeling all good?
I'm feeling all right at the moment, but there's a lot of it going around at the moment, isn't there? I've mixed with a few family members over Christmas that weren't looking too good, so I'm a bit concerned that's coming down the track. Everyone seems to have it, but yeah, Portsmouth, I think, have had 6 or 7 either out through illness or playing through illness, and it sounds like it's been exactly the same With Ipswich, we don't know who those players are. Wes Burns was one of them. I see his parents have been tweeting about get well soon, son, and great performance considering you've been under the weather. So I'm sure that will come into it in terms of decision making. But for me, that team that started against Oxford is probably Ipswich's strongest team, with everyone being fit. Cameron Humphreys has been fantastic since stepping up into the team as a 19-year-old. Really mature, has earned all of the plaudits that have come his way. But I think Boxing Day was a reminder of how vital a cog Lee Evans is in this team. I think they've missed him at the times he's been injured and unavailable. Just adds a bit of physicality, which is so important in this league. But is he good to go again? Missed a lot of football through injury. Is Marcus Harness good to go again, having come back quite rapidly from that injury and been a surprise starter on Boxing Day? There'd have to be question marks over those two, and as you say, we don't know where the illness is around this team. So it's probably Ipswich's strongest team, that one from Boxing Day, but I would imagine there'll be a little bit of freshening up going on in there. Caden Jackson, Shawnee Aluko, Humphreys, if Evans can't play, Kane Vincent-Young is sort of waiting in the wings. So Ipswich have got that bit more depth about them now with some of these players coming back. So a very, very difficult lineup to predict, but I would imagine maybe 2 or 3 changes to freshen up from Boxing Day.
Nice, mate. Can I put you on a spot then? Can you quickly predict the team for the shiny graphic that we have? Just take it away.
I'll give it a try. Yeah, it's a bit of a stab in the dark with not knowing the injuries and the illnesses. But Walton hopefully in goal, Danassian, Wolfenden, Burgess, Davis. I'll go with Morsey and Evans again in midfield. I think the temptation for this game will be to see if they can get through this one and then assess it again for Lincoln away. Burns, Chaplin, Aluko, and Ladapo played really well, didn't he, on Boxing Day and scored? And I see he's got. I haven't watched the whole game back yet, but I just wondered, just to freshen it up, he'll go with Jackson, which would be really unfortunate for Freddie. But he does like to rotate that front line and have front and fresh legs, so I'll go with that.
Okay, sounds good. Well, going to be a big game. Last game of the season. Last game of 2022. Sorry. Mm-hmm. What sort of game are you expecting to do when we go down to Fratton Park? Of course, Pompey, they're wanting to get back to winning ways because they want to revenge defeat at Portman Road. But Town, of course, going with a lot of confidence after the win against Oxford.
Yeah. Who knows how Cowley's going to kind of set up Portsmouth tactically and mentally for this game. They were 4-4-2 for much of this season, which had its critics. I see he's kind of switched to a 3 at the back in more recent weeks to address their dip in form. Goals have been an issue for them of late. Will he just try and set them up to be scrappy and nasty and horrible and just disrupt Ipswich and get a result? Or will he just throw caution to the wind and really try and go at Ipswich and see how it goes? I don't know how Portsmouth are going to be quite honest, but it's a great little rivalry brewing between these two teams, isn't it? You think all the Checkbook FC stuff. You got Chaplin and Harness, former Portsmouth players. You had Paul Cook going back there and snapping at a few. The Michael Jacobs and Joe Morrell transfer sagas. There's been so many little subplots over the last few years. This is starting to feel like a bit of an organic rivalry for me, like we had Sheffield United and Bolton many years ago. It now feels like Portsmouth and Cowley is the new pantomime villain. So I don't know what to expect from Portsmouth. Obviously, we don't know what their injury situation is. Joe Pigott obviously can't play against his parent club. But ultimately, I think Ipswich are in a good place at the moment. Portsmouth aren't in a great place, and that adds up to Ipswich winning this game.
Ooh, okay. Before we get to your prediction, my friend, let's have a look at the key stats going into the game. Okay, then, Stu? You teased us already with a town win. What is the scoreline then?
Portsmouth are really struggling for goals at the moment. Don't think they've scored in the last 3 or 4. I just checked my notes there. So I'll back Ipswich to go and get another clean sheet and to win 2-0.
Solid. That is a solid prediction. I've gone 2-0 as well. Hopefully, it is a great evening at Fradden Park to end the year on a high. Stu, any other business, my friend? Anything else you want to mention before we wrap up? It's just been a good year all round, covering the football club up and down the country, and hopefully it does end with a win at Portsmouth.
Yeah, I can only second that, Ross. Look forward to it. Hopefully we finish the year on the high, on a high.
Yes, definitely. Thanks everyone for watching the Boot Room all year round. We'll be back in 2023 for another edition of the Boot Room. If you're going to the game, enjoy. If you're not, follow the game with us. And bye-bye for now.